Got to make sure my mic is on. Otherwise, I'll be talking for no reason. Oh, wait. That's exactly what I'm today. I learned a long time ago to surround myself with people smarter than myself, which frankly isn't that hard to do. I mean, not for me. I'm a pretty simple guy. Surrounding myself with smarter people, pretty easy to do. But I've also learned that there are a whole lot of people who will talk and teach and lead and demonstrate when they have no qualifications to do so, or really don't even know what it is that they are saying themselves. They just feel like, I gotta say something. I'm Jay.
Welcome to Leading Leaders Podcast. 5-minute videos, 5 days a week.
I'm Loren Norris with Leading Leaders Podcast. Perhaps, like me, you've noticed, especially during this particular season that we find ourselves in now, when there are a whole lot more people staying at home than there were staying 5 months ago. There are a whole lot more people working from home and using technology such as Zoom and Facebook and FaceTime to communicate with the outside world. And part of that has meant that a lot of people have figured out how to plug in a microphone and turn on a light and stand in front of or sit in front of their laptop or their phone or their iPad and talk to the world. And that is awesome. That is incredible. And it gives voice to a lot of people who previously didn't really have a voice. They sat in the cubicle in the corner and nobody really knew who they were, and they didn't really share their ideas, and they were really kind of stuck there. And so the idea that this season has kind of squeezed them, and now that the toothpaste is out of the tube, you get to see what's really inside there, and that's awesome. Except when it's... See, the challenge is for a lot of people who just, for lack of a better term, they love to hear themselves talk. They haven't really thought deeply about what they want to say. They haven't really done a lot of research behind what they want to say. They're not really prepared to teach or to talk anything. And so what you get is that person who turns on their camera and they turn on their microphone and they ramble. There's not really anything of deep value to you. It's just that they feel like they need to express themselves, and so they're going to express themselves in this format. And it's the reason that if you scroll through your Facebook feed now or your LinkedIn feed now, you see live. And they may be live walking around the block, taking their pet for a walk and telling you about their day. And there's nothing wrong with that, except that at some point we begin to wonder, where's the real teaching? Where's the real meat? Where's the real, this is going to make my life better? And where's just the casual conversation? Because they're now crowded into the same space. Let me use an illustration. There was a season in our lives as we were growing up, various ones of us at different times, that we would say, you got to consider the source. So if you're going to go look for a movie, what they would call a blockbuster movie, not the blue and yellow logo where you had to buy the DVD or rent the DVD and then take it back, but blockbuster meaning it made it to the movie house, it made it to the Cinemark or the big giant movie houses where you bought $20 popcorn and $5 Cokes and you would sit in the theater, and if it made it there, big movie. And if it made it there in opening weekend, there were people standing in line, it was going to be a great movie. And that was kind of our way of saying, we know this is going to be good content because of the place that we saw it. It's kind of like the difference between saying, I'm going to go buy a vehicle and I'm going to buy it from a used car lot versus a new car lot. A new car lot that particularly only sells high-end vehicles versus a used car lot that could sell anything from farm tractors to Ferraris. And because we know the source, we know where we're getting it, we have a little more confidence in it. But see, there are also some things you can do if you are a person who delivers content and you know that your source is good and you know that your ability to deliver that content is solid. You've got to apply the four pillars of Learn to Roar. Be relevant, have ownership, speak with authority, and be responsible for how people feel when you're done talking. If you're not going to put that filter of 4 on your Facebook Live or your LinkedIn Live or wherever it is that you're distributing your content, if you're not going to be relevant, and by relevant I mean you're not just talking about what's important to you, but you're talking about what might actually be important to the people who might be listening. If you're not going to have ownership, meaning you're not just telling somebody else's story, you've actually lived through this. If you're not going to have the authority, meaning you're so willing to believe and teach the content that you're teaching that you would put your name on it. I mean, your name brand on it, because that's what authority really is. Authority and name, they go together. So if your brand is dependent on the quality of what you're teaching, and the quality of what you're teaching or saying or relating determines the quality of your brand, you should do that. And finally, will you be responsible for how people feel? Are you just inciting a riot? Are you just trying to get people riled up? Are you making people feel better? Are you encouraging them or giving them hope? Or are you just talking because you like to talk? Because we can't determine the best movies by the theater house anymore, because everything is on Netflix side by side, the blockbuster movies and the latest documentary that has a very slanted bias to it. You can't tell them until you've actually watched them. Same thing with Facebook Live and LinkedIn Live and TikTok and Twitter and all of these other Instagram TV and all these other platforms where everyone has access. The barrier to entry is very low, if not non-existent. And therefore the quality control is as well. Anybody can make a video, anybody can publish a book. And because of that, the place that you go to get it makes a huge difference. Some of the LinkedIn groups and channels have some very specific content, and that's powerful. And you know that once you're in that area, it's been vetted, it's been tested, people know the source of the information, and it's going to be rock solid. Some of the Facebook communities are the same way. In fact, if you've listened to this video this long, I'm going to ask you to do me a favor. Down in the comments box, I'd like you to tell me what you've heard me say in the past that maybe I've just scraped the surface on and not really gone real deep into, that you would like to hear me teach a little bit longer. I have an opportunity coming up soon. I'll be recording in the next day or two a 15-minute teaching that will be available in a community that reaches almost 2 million people. Now, this is a community of other leaders and thought leaders and communicators, and so it's a big community, but it's also a community of people. Like I said, I surround myself with people smarter than me. So I really need to pull out all the stops and bring something really, really good. But I'd love to know if you have an opinion on maybe something that I've said in the past that you thought about that idea. I've got a couple of things rattling around in my head and some suggestions for my wife, but I'd like to know if you have any suggestions before I do that. Take a minute, just leave a comment down there and say, hey, why don't you talk a little more about this? I'd really appreciate that. I don't want to be one of those voices just clamoring to be heard. I want to be relevant. I want to speak about something that I know, that I have ownership in. I want to speak with authority so that I know that my research backs up what I say because it associates directly with my name brand. And I want to be responsible for encouraging and empowering and bringing hope to your life and not just rambling on and on and on because it makes me feel good to do so. I hope you'll take that same level of accountability every time you turn on your camera. I'm Loren Norris with Leading Leaders Podcast, or Tell It Like It Is TV. Have a blessed day.
Subscribe now for our extensive video library of leadership lessons promoting faith, family, and freedom.